we are going to start today looking at ledger notes. Ledger notes are simply notes off of a given staff, okay? They go above or below the staff. So we know our staff is comprised of 5 lines and 4 spaces, but sometimes there are notes above them or below them. So the concept of ledger notes, we'll start with treble clef, is we use the alphabet. And going up the staff from bottom to top, you go up the alphabet, the musical alphabet. You've been doing that for a long time now. So if I were to put all of my names of my lines and spaces on the treble clef here, remember we go right up that musical alphabet. After G we start over. So now that I'm comfortable with naming notes on the staff, I can use this pattern and continue off the staff, up or down. Now, it's important to know you got to do your alphabet backwards as you go down because that's a little more tricky. And the concept, remember, is line, space, line, space, line, space. If you don't skip any lines or spaces, it is right up and down that musical alphabet. So I just add lines and spaces as I go up, and those are called ledger lines. And you just add little guys like that. They don't have to be very big, all right? So that's G in that space, and then that line would be A, okay? The space right above that would be B, all right? If I add another ledger line, that would be a C up there, all right? Going the same concept but backwards, going backwards, that would be D because that bottom line is E. That's D. Add a line is C. The space right under that is B. Now I've got to have 2 lines. That would be a low A, etc. So the musical staff is just right up and down that alphabet. Line, space, line, space, line, space. You can't skip any lines or spaces. This works for any clef. Just always check your clef. So when I am, let's switch to bass clef, and when I'm trying to name a note that is off the staff, I get as close as I can, all right? Let's say my note was right up there. Notice that line's going right through it. It's 2 ledger lines away. So great big dogs fight alligators. I know that this top line is an A. So I'm going to start there on that line and then go line, space, till I get to my note, okay, right up the alphabet. So this A. The space is B, the line is C, the space is D, the second line is E. So that is actually an E. So these are called ledger notes, and they're a little trickier to read, but pretty soon, like everything else, you'll get really fantastic at doing it. All right, let's do one below the bass clefs. That guy right there. All right, I made it a half note. So we know that this bottom line, the closest thing we know is the G for great. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards in the alphabet. That's a G. The space is F. That line is E. The space is D. The second line is C. And that guy, that space down there, is a B. Now notice you don't have to, when you're doing ledger notes, you don't have to put a, if you have one in a space, for instance that B or this D, you don't have to put the line underneath it. Okay, it's just like having a note right here. Okay, that is definitely in the space above my staff. So here's an A. That's definitely the next space, but I do not have to put that line as so. Okay, notationally you will not see that. So you just have to use the line if you were going to, for instance, put that note. All right. So this note, for instance, would be, that's an A on the line. This is a B on the bass clef. Okay, that's a B. So just, you know, I see students put that. I'm not going to mark it wrong, but it's notationally incorrect. Now, looking down here at some practice, treble clef, just name a few together. This is above the treble clef, so that top line is F. There's the alphabet for reference if you need it. That's F, okay? Just go right up the alphabet. The ones above are a little easier, I think, for most students because of that going up the alphabet instead of backwards. So if this is F line, G space, A line, B, that space. This one's got to go backwards. Notice it's 2 ledger lines down. So this is an E for every. E line, D space, C line, B space, A. That's a low A. Okay. Going over to, just jumping over to, and then you can practice some of these on your own. Jumping over to our bass clefs, always check your clef. Right? This is a G for great. I'm going to go backwards in that alphabet. G line. The space is F. The first ledger line is E. Space is D. Second ledger line is a C. All right, this guy right here. Top line that I know is alligators, A. Space is B. Line is C. Space above that is a D. Okay, and you can practice those. You can draw some yourself and practice them, or do some drills online.